First, we have the 1930s Antarctic Snow Cruiser. The Antarctic Snow Cruiser was a vehicle designed from 1937 to 1939 under the direction of Thomas Poulter. It was intended to facilitate transport in Antarctica during the United States Antarctic Service expedition from 1939 to 1941. Poulter had been second in command of Byrd's second Antarctic expedition launched in 1934. From his time in the Antarctic, Poulter had devised several innovative features. The massive snow cruiser generally failed to operate as hoped under the difficult conditions. The tires, notably smooth to avoid becoming snow-encrusted, did not grip the ice. And it was eventually abandoned in Antarctica. It was rediscovered under a deep layer of snow in 1958. It later disappeared again due to shifting ice conditions. Next, we have the 1995 Toyota Moguls concept. Now, as part of its Forest of Toyota initiative to promote sustainable forestry and environmental conservation, Toyota unveiled the Moguls, an experimental concept vehicle designed for tree planting and forest management. This innovative project highlighted Toyota's commitment to environmental sustainability and forward-thinking design. The Toyota Moguls was specifically engineered for forestry workers navigating challenging terrain. Its standout feature was the ability of each wheel to extend or retract independently, allowing the vehicle to adapt to uneven ground, such as gullies or ridges, while maintaining a level cabin. This functionality enabled it to access forest trails and rugged areas where conventional four-wheel drive vehicles would struggle. Despite its advanced engineering, the Moguls required no specialized training to operate, making it practical and user-friendly for professionals in forestry and environmental conservation. Next, we have the 1958 survival car. Walter C. Jerome, of Worcester, Massachusetts, was a man possessed by a mission to make the world's safest car. In the end, he failed to advance auto safety, but Jerome's segmented sedan might easily qualify as the world's strangest car. Primarily concerned with head-on collisions, Jones split his car in two, hoping the front section would absorb collisions, leaving the passenger cabin untouched. Using a heavily modified 1948 Hudson sedan as a rear section, he built a raised turret to provide the driver with maximum viability, a goal he furthered with a 360-degree wraparound screen that constantly rotated past built-in squeegees to wipe it clean. Wraparound rubber bumpers protected Survival's bodywork from errant motorists and slow-speed collisions, but they were just one of Jerome's innovations. The Survival was years ahead with seat belts, a padded interior, and built-in roll bars. Auto safety has two parts: passive safety, which concerns passenger protection once a collision occurs, and active safety, or a car's ability to avoid accidents due to handling and braking qualities. Like most Americans, Jerome focused only on passive safety, ignoring that his car's awkward separation into dual modules necessitated atrocious handling. Next, we have the Bramble cycle car. Yes, you heard that right, a cycle car. Built from a sidecar, the 1913 Bramble cycle car had a bamboo chassis, a single-cylinder engine, and a hand-operated clutch and brake. Next, we have the 1992 Renault Zoom, which was an electric urban concept car developed by Renault and Matra, designed to navigate tight city spaces. It featured a variable wheelbase that could retract for better maneuverability, with innovative beetle-wing doors for easy access in confined areas. Inside, a communication center included hands-free phone and navigation controls. Its 25 kilowatts engine was 90% recyclable, highlighting its eco-friendly design. Next, we have the 1967 Lamborghini Marzel. The Marzel, a one-off concept, was first shown at the Geneva Motor Show in March 1967. The silver four-seater was based on a Miura chassis, and featured a transverse rear-mounted inline-six that was essentially half of a Lamborghini V12 engine. Lamborghini had visions of using the smaller engine in a less expensive car aimed at the Porsche 911 market, though it was underpowered in relation to the mighty V12 used in the front-engine GTs and the mid-engine Miura. Nonetheless, the Marzel was an exercise in modern trends, featuring huge glass gull-wing doors, a silver leather interior, and design details based on hexagonal shapes, from headlights to metal grills, that are still referenced today in current Lamborghini models. The Marzel inspired Gandini's design for the Espada, Lamborghini's remarkable GT that began production in 1968. Next we have the 1950s Army Ralligan truck. In 1950, on a fishing trip in Alaska, William Albee noticed villagers moving a heavily wooded boat up a muddy bank using rolling balloons. But upon further inspection, Albee found out they were using inflated seal skins to roll the ship up with hill with minimal effort for such a mighty task. Albee then returned to his home in Monterey, California, where he took the idea used by the natives to produce the first low-pressure off-road tire, and then create vehicles that used this new tire technology under the name Albee Ralligan Company. The tires had to be made using fabric and rubber, making them conquer any terrain you put in front of it. Because of the material used and the low pressure itself, the tires absorb bumps and things rather than the tire going over them. A perfect example of that is when a 5-ton Ralligan truck literally runs over its creator William Albee. In this 1950s footage of one of the Army adaptations of the Ralligan, and he gets up entirely unharmed. Next we have the 1964 Ford turbine truck, named Big Red. Ford's gas turbine was a towering supertransport prototype. After its debut in 1964, it made several cross-country runs at costs comparable to diesel operation. The 600-horsepower gas turbine engine that powered Big Red was developed and produced by Ford under a contract with the Department of Defense. Next we have the 1929 Ford Sun Snow Machine. This is a type of screw-propelled vehicle which is adaptable to both icy and swampy environments. This concept was invented by Henry Ford nearly 20 years before the first snowmobile was introduced on the market. Now you have an idea of how they got around back in the old days. Next we have the 1913 Goebel Land Kreutzer. Friedrich Goebel, a German engineer from Riga, was one of Germany's last tank pioneers who were active way before their time, like Austria's Gunther Bursten and Australia's de Mol. Goebel invented the Land Kreutzer Land Cruiser in 1913. This vehicle was very strange in appearance and functionality. Instead of having a form of a track system like Bursten's and de Mol's vehicles, it had a set of walking legs or pivoted legs, and it consequently had a gait like that on a child's toy, which lurches downslope on weighted legs. The model contained 6 legs but no means of steering. The vehicle itself was a standard German 4-ton NAG military lorry. Goebel built a working model to demonstrate to the German War Office, the Commercial Testing Commission, by their request. The commission also requested a few basic requirements, including a 50-foot turning radius and a speed of 7.5 miles per hour. This design did not impress the commission, because on testing the Land Cruiser, it was found to be very impractical. It became stuck very easy, and as in the model demonstration, there was no form of steering. Next we have the Domino's 1984 Triton A2. If you look back at the history of Domino's Pizza's delivery cars, there have been many cool vehicles piloted by drivers. And one such vehicle is the super rare Triton A2. The A2 was produced in a highly limited series of just 10 examples, and it is believed only 7 of them still exist today. They were commissioned by Domino's Pizza in the early 1980s, and designed and built by Triton Industries. However, after the first batch of cars was delivered to the company, it found out they were not that practical and put an end to the production. The initial plan was to buy 180 examples and ship them to Domino's all over the country, but that never happened. Do you wish it did? Next we have the 1980s Mahler M200G flying saucer. Though the M200G and its variants have been under development since the 1980s, Mahler claims it's still working on verification and approval from the appropriate regulatory agencies before production and sales to the public can begin. The M200G Volontaire is a prototype of a flying saucer-style hovercraft, designed by aeronautics engineer Paul Mahler. The vehicle is envisioned as a precursor to the Mahler M400 Skycar. The M200G Volontaire uses a system of 8 computer-controlled fans to hover up to 10 feet above the ground. Volontaire is a term coined by Mahler meaning a vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. The M200G Nora is a circular craft with seats in the middle for 2 passengers and a control panel. The vehicle is 3 feet tall and 10 feet in diameter. 8 Wankel rotary engines power 8 enclosed fans. The fans allow for vertical takeoff and landing, and once the vehicle is aloft, rely upon the ground effect to create a cushion of air that the vehicle sits upon while flying. The 8 separate engines exist for redundancy, allowing the craft to continue flying if one engine goes out. If 2 engines go out, the craft will make a survivable hard landing. The engines can be powered with gasoline, diesel, or ethanol fuels. Next we have the 1983 Stein Winter Supercargo. As I'm sure you could tell by now, this story can't have a perfect ending to it. After all, have you actually seen any of these on the road? Unfortunately, the project was a flop. The vehicle had its complications, like very limited visibility when the driver was seated and the engineer's inability to perfect the handling just right. Additionally, some reports indicate that reliability was a problem, as longevity was not envisioned to meet that of the million-mile trucks of today. As a result, funding dried up when Mercedes wouldn't back the project. And so the truck of tomorrow was lost forever. 5 years later, the truck popped up once more, completely altered from its original appearance. This time, it was on film in the TV series The Highwayman. No known video exists of the original supercargo being moved. The last known appearance of the Stein Winter happened in 2002 during the filming of Power Rangers Time Force. Though trucks have advanced in technology over the last several years, no huge design changes have been adopted by the public. Even Walmart attempted its run at a proprietary commercial truck called Wave, which seems to have vanished as well. Will Tesla's big electric move go the same way? Nevertheless, it seems that this truck, once destined for greatness by its creator, turned out to be just a child movie star. Next we have this Aston Martin. Made in the mid-1970s, Aston Martin decided it wanted to prove its engineering prowess by building a car that would hit 200 miles per hour. So company designer William Townes penned the Bulldog DPK-9 concept in 1980. Aston Martin test drivers took the Bulldog to 191 miles per hour at the Mira test track, but the company was short on cash. So when Victor Gauntlet bought a 10% stake in the company and became chairman in 1981, he cancelled the Bulldog program. The company sold the car to a Middle Eastern collector in 1982 while Gauntlet engineered a sales recovery and Aston Martin's return to the James Bond franchise. Next we have the 1917 Model T Snow Flyer. In 1917, Virgil D. White received a patent for an attachment designed to convert a Model T into a snowmobile, a name coined and copyrighted by White. White, a Ford dealer in Ossipee, New Hampshire, built his first snowmobile attachment in 1913. He put it on the market during the winter of 1922 after perfecting it in every detail, selling the attachments exclusively through Ford dealers. The snowmobile attachment consisted of the complete package necessary to convert a Ford into a reliable snow machine. Skis made of metal and wood and rear-mounted tracks were the most noticeable differences. Next we have the 1934 Waterman What's-It, a tailless two-seat, single-engine pusher configuration rotable aircraft that was built in the US in the late 1930s, the Waterman Aerobile, and was one of the first of its kind. Only 5 were produced, one slightly different from the other, especially in the bodywork. However, Waldo Waterman's invention generated little customer interest. The prototype in 1932, named What's-It for his unconventional design, opened the way to the Aerobile in 1935, designed and built for a contest announced by the US Department of Commerce. It was a low swept-wing monoplane with fins near its wingtips. The What's-It also featured a wing-mounted tricycle undercarriage and a trim foreplane, and it was powered by a 100 horsepower, 75 kilowatts, Kinner K5 5-cylinder radial pusher engine. In May 1935, Waterman completed a submission to the government-funded Vidal Safety Airplane Competition. This was the aeroplane, sometimes known as the W4. This adopted basically a similar layout to the What's-It but had a strut-braced high wing on a blunt-nosed, narrow fuselage pod with a tricycle undercarriage mounted under it. Its wings had wooden spars and metal ribs and were fabric-covered, with triangular end-plate fins carrying upright rudders. Its fuselage was steel-framed and aluminium-covered. It was powered by a 95 horsepower inverted inline 4-cylinder Monasco B4 Pirate pusher engine mounted high in the rear of the fuselage. Next we have the 1970 Lancia Stratos HF0. Unveiled in October 1970 at the Turin Motor Show, it was a counterpart of the similarly outrageous Ferrari 512S Modulo by Pininfarina. Both cars have an almost abstract, sculptural quality, but the Stratos seems more dynamic compared to the somewhat static Modulo. It's also even lower, at just 33 inches tall. Power came from a 1,584 cubic centimeters V4 making 115 horsepower at 6,200 RPM, taken straight from the production Lancia Fulvia. The rear of the car features a grille through which the mechanicals are clearly visible. The engine bay is covered by a triangular hood that opens to the right. On each side of the car there are 2 small windows stacked on top of each other, and ingress and egress is facilitated by opening the large, framed windshield. The steering wheel, featuring a spherical center, can be moved upwards to make it easier for the driver to exit. The black leather seats feature a blocky, square pattern. The Stratos Zero was not a forerunner of the famed Lancia Stratos HF rally car, but it captured Lancia top management's interest at the Turin show enough to get Bertone and Lancia to sit down together and create the production Stratos. Next we have the 1955 Lincoln Futura. Enthusiasts will say that the Lincoln Futura was the most successful and the most dramatic Lincoln concept vehicle that ever landed on Earth. The original Batmobile, the ultimate car that struck awe in countless fans for a decade, was originally a concept dubbed the Lincoln Futura. Designed by the Lincoln division of Ford Motor Company, the Futura was constructed entirely by hand in Turin, Italy, for an extreme $250,000. Ghia is famed for having the best pane beaters in the world, and at the time of the Futura, Ghia craftsmen were famous for their workmanship and preferred to work in metal over fiberglass. Much like many other concepts, the Futura was never actually put into production. The Lincoln Futura made its official debut on the auto show circuit in 1955. Even in comparison to other eccentric and exotic vehicles in the 1950s, the Futura's design style was considered extreme and even impractical. Unlike other concepts of the day though, the Futura was fully operable and featured a complete powertrain. The concept featured double, clear plastic canopy top, huge outward canted tail fins on both ends of the car, and exaggerated hooded headlight pods. With a chassis that came directly from a Lincoln Mark II, the Futura was powered by a 368 cubic inch Lincoln engine and powertrain. Next we have the 1953 XP21 Firebird 1, the first gas turbine automobile ever to be built and tested in the United States. Designed strictly as an engineering and styling exercise, Firebird 1 was intended to determine whether the gas turbine could be used as an efficient and economical power plant for future vehicles. Next we have the 1965 GE Cybernetic Walking Machine. The walking truck, or cybernetic walking machine, was an experimental quadruped walking vehicle created by General Electric in 1965. It was designed by Ralph Mosher to help infantry carry equipment over rough terrain. It alternatively bore the name of CM, an acronym for Cybernetic Anthropomorphous Machine. It appeared in a segment of the Walter Cronkite, hosted the 20th Century in 1968. A human operator controlled the stepping of the robot through foot and hand movements coupled to hydraulic valves. The complex actions of the legs and body pose were done entirely through hydraulics. The hydraulic fluid and pressure were supplied through an off-board system. The walking track was one of the first technological hardware design applications to incorporate force feedback to give the operator a feel. As of 2019, the surviving prototype can be seen at the U.S. Army Transportation Museum in Fort Eustis, Virginia. The robot weighed 3,000 pounds, 1,400 kilograms, and could walk up to 5 miles per hour. It was exhausting to control, and according to program lead Ralph Mosher, who was the designer and primary driver, operators could only drive the walking truck for a limited time. Next we have the 1997 Mercedes-Benz F300 Lifejet. The idea behind the F300 Lifejet, presented at the 1997 Frankfurt Motor Show, was to combine the benefits of a motorbike with those of a car. The trademark motorbike characteristics of the F300 Lifejet are being able to lean into corners, feel the engine's power, and be closer to the elements. Its car-like properties include greater stability thanks to its 3 wheels, a roof, seat belts, and air conditioning. Also, it requires neither a helmet nor protective clothing. The most striking feature of this research vehicle was its unique active tilt control, which was developed especially for the F300 Lifejet and allows it to lean into corners. It also features specially designed tires, allowing such a large tilt angle. The chassis of the F300 Lifejet was made of aluminum and weighed just 89 kilograms. The body shell was inspired by airplane design, as were the vertically opening front hinge doors. In fine weather, the 2 roof sections could be removed and stowed in the boot, turning the F300 Lifejet into a cabriolet. The headlamp's electronics were linked to the computer for the active tilt control system and could thus switch on a special cornering light. The idea of headlamps that follow the line of the road can now be found in the active light system available on Mercedes-Benz cars such as the E-Class. The F300 Lifejet was the first research vehicle to be designed and completed by computer. As such, it also served as a testbed for a new design tool. Next we have the 1996 Mercedes-Benz F200 Imagination concept. The Mercedes-Benz F200 Imagination Coupe was a concept study by then Daimler-Benz unveiled at the 1996 Paris Motor Show. The goal was to show off innovations in control, design, and comfort in passenger cars. The car's exterior design was in part based on the then upcoming S-Class. This two-door coupe also previewed the CL-Class coupe, which debuted in 1999. One of the unique innovations was the implementation of side sticks. Side sticks were a drive-by-joystick design, rather than the conventional steering wheel and gas/brake pedals, that could be toggled between the driver and the passenger. Other innovations included butterfly doors, to be utilized in the later Mercedes-Benz 2003 SLR McLaren. Electro-transparent panoramic roof glass, to be utilized in the later 2002 Maybach 62. Video cameras in the place of rearview mirrors. Window airbag, series launch in the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, W220. Forward-looking, dynamic handling control system. Active body control, fully active suspension, which entered series production on another coupe, the CL-Class, in 1999. Headlight system featuring variable light distribution. Production launched as bi-xenon headlights with active light function in 2003 on the Mercedes-Benz E-Class, W211. Voice recognition for mobile phones. Production launched under the name Linguatronic in the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, W140, in 1996. Please like and subscribe and comment if you enjoyed this video. Thank you.